Welcome to LFFL Primetime, the fastest 5 minutes in the universe. We have a supersized edition because we have a bracket reveal party coming up at the end of the show. But let's start with the big news. Andy Simons with the upset of Todd Meyer, ending Todd's 15-game winning streak. Great job by Andy and Todd. I'm sure you'll be right back after it next week. Greg, the 1-point win over Josh, actually texted me. Apparently, I erroneously gave him the win in the what to watch for video. Josh still had George Kittle. George Kittle only 3 points on Monday night. Greg ekes out the 1-point win, apparently as I boldly predicted. Bill also scores 157, his win over Miles. Matt, the 11-point win over Eric. I was able to take care of Phil. I am the only undefeated team left after Todd's loss, but Todd and Greg still sit right behind me at 3-1. Andy, Bill, Eric, Matt, all at 2-2. Josh, Phil at 1-3. Miles still looking for that first win this season. Looking at week 5, got Todd taking on Eric. Eric with the 27-25 lead in this series. Got Andy taking on Bill, a 23-23 stalemate. However, Bill has won 4 in a row. For the second straight week, can Andy beat a streak? Matt taking on Josh. Josh actually holds an 18-14 lead over his big brother. Problem for Josh, Matt won the game that really mattered when they met in Super Bowl 14. Miles and Phil going at it 3-3 in this young series. And finally, Greg and I going after it 3 different times. We've met in the Super Bowl 12, 15, 13. 23, I'm sorry. I hold the 17-14 edge in the series. However, Greg, 2 of those 3 Super Bowls went his way. Looking at your LFFL2, Phil, the big win over Bill, knocking Bill from the undefeated ranks on the season and causing a cluster at the top because Eric wanted to move to 3-1, Miles wanted to move to 3-1, Sean gets a win over Andy, and the Merrills moved to 3-1 with their win over me. Listen, guys, I almost had you. Only 5 more touchdowns out of George Kittle, and I just sprung that upset. We have Merrills, Eric, Bill, Miles, all at 3-1. Phil and I sit at 2-2 in the middle, and then we have 4 at 1-3 on the bottom. Greg, Sean, Andy, Todd. Your week 5 matchups: Eric versus Miles, Merrills versus Greg, Phil versus Sean, Andy versus Todd, and Bill taking on myself. Look at your LFFL3 standings. Matt Merrill moves to 4-0, remains unbeaten in this league with a win over Todd. Bill, an impressive 107 points in his win over Miles. Phil beats Andy. Greg beats Sean. Nate beats Eric. Matt Brennan and I put on a high-scoring affair. It's like Detroit, Seattle up in here with Matt Brennan and I. 130-116 to Matt. Week 5 action. Matt Merrill taking on Miles. Bill taking on Todd. Matt Brennan taking on Sean. Phil taking on Nate. Eric taking on Andy. Greg taking on myself. And I'm so sorry I forgot to review the standings. Matt Merrill, as I said, undefeated at 4-0. We've got a bunch of teams at 3-1, and Bill, Matt, Brennan, and Phil. Sean, Miles, Eric, Nate, all at 2-2. Myself, Greg, Andy, Todd, all at 1-3. Now, LFFL4, congratulations to Eric on his 12th win of his career in this league. Eric, 144.12 points. Jeremy coming in second at 113.48. Nate taking the Browns for the week at 108.12. Kind of a low-scoring, compacted week. Eric really stands out from the crowd here. Now, Monday Night Football, Bill wins your showdown slate at 104.1 points. Your standings, Nate sitting at the top, 34 points. Todd at 28 points. Andy and Greg tied in third at 22 points. LFFL 5, Eric, a big 203 points in his win over Sean, maintains his unbeaten record in this league. I am right on his tails at 3-1 after losing to Phil, who smacked me around at 254 to 203. Phil also draws up to 3-1 with me, and Greg moves to 3-1 with his win over Bill. Todd and Miles were your winners as well this week. Miles at 2-2. Andy, Sean, Bill, Nate, and Todd all sitting at 1-3. This week got a brother battle royal. Greg versus Phil. We got Miles taking on Todd, Andy and Bill, Sean and Nate, Eric and myself in a battle at the top. LFFL6, look at this. Not only is he upsetting Todd, he is winning over here too. Andy moves into solo first after being second place to Bill last week, has jumped to Bill, moved into first. 3.3 average across all the leagues. Very impressive. Did move into first place in February. He's previously not first in any month. We have Bill sitting in second, Eric, Greg, and myself. Big tie for third place. Looking at your LFFL 7, Greg, your elimination this week, and it was not close. Eliminated by like 60 points. Not so good. Greg, Eric, myself, and Sean are the eliminated at this time. LFFL 8, I continue to lead these standings. Phil in second place. Matt Brennan bringing in third. Phil's 228.4 points this week is the 4th highest single scoring week in the history of this league. But let's talk about all I want to talk about. It's bracket time. There's nothing funner than getting your brackets together. So let's look at these things. I told you on the show, we maybe had some chance moving it out. The only team that really moved on Monday Night Football was Andy. He played himself in on Monday Night Football of the week, 22.2 effort from Deebo Samuel, bumping Bill down to 17. However, The Build 2 team was not in when the week started. Basically, nobody switched. The only teams that switched, Andy 2 was in and Andy 1 was out, and they switched. Andy 1 goes in, Andy 2 goes out. So, top 4 seeds remain the same as well. So, let's look at those brackets, shall we? Starting off, we are going to have the Cunningham region. We're going to have the Rice region, the Marino region, and the Sanders region. Of course, these are named after the first 4 picks in the history of the LFL League. Randall Cunningham is number 1 pick, number 1 overall seed, my team. The 16 seed, Andy's team. So we're going to have a brother battle royal in the first round in this bracket. In the 8-9 game, we have Nate 2 taking on Eric number 1. Let's look at the Rice division. Number 2 seed, only fitting that Greg is in this division. Greg 2, another brother battle royal. Greg 2 taking on Phil 2 in the 2-15 game. In the 7-10 game, we have Nate 1 taking on Miles's team. We come to the Marino division, and again, poetic justice here is I get to lead this division as the 3 seed. Jeremy, the 14 seed, taking me on. In the 6-11 game, we got an old school matchup. Eric versus Todd in the Marino division. I love it. Finally, your Sanders piece of the bracket. Jeremy 2, the number 4 overall seed, taking on Phil 1. And on the bottom, we have number 5, Bill, taking on number 12, Greg. So your final 4 look like this. The Cunningham winner will take on the Sanders winner. The Marino winner will take on the Rice winner. Now, here is your final standings, your qualifying teams. I was in first place with 836.8 points over the 4 weeks. Greg 2, Casey 1, and so on down the line. Looking at teams with managers with multiple teams in the bracket. Myself, Greg, Jeremy, Eric, Nate, and Phil squeezing in there at the back end at 13 and 15. So remember, here's what you can do. You can replace one player before we head into this first round of the playoffs. That replacement must come from the same group of players. So if you're replacing a guy in group 3, it has to be a player that comes out of group 3. As always, defensive kickers can be put in any bracket. You can always put those guys in. Just need to know before that player begins play. So I don't even know who the Thursday night game is tomorrow night. If the player's not playing Thursday, I don't need to know tomorrow. I don't need to know until that game starts. You may email me, text me, fax me, do what you need to, page me, whatever. So hope you all enjoyed the brackets. I'm excited about this. Maybe I'll put the brackets out and we'll have to fill them out, get out the old pencil and paper. So hope you all have a great week. I hope you have enjoyed playing all these leagues with me. They're so much fun. I love the variety. I hope you have a great week in week 5.